So in less than a week, on June 13th, Rockstar is releasing the new GTA Online DLC, which is Andreas Mercenaries. So in today's video, I just wanted to pretty much talk about things that I hope to see in the DLC and what things Rockstar could do differently compared to the previous DLCs that we had in GTA Online, and just overall my thoughts on how this DLC is going to be. So if you do want to see more content covering the new GTA Online Andreas Mercenaries DLC, then make sure to subscribe and put on post notifications. And if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, make sure to drop a like. So one of the biggest things, of course, is the missions that Rockstar is going to be adding. So we do know that we are going to be battling and are going to be against Merryweather, and by the way that Rockstar describes it, they're trying to take over Los Santos or San Andreas and just trying to, pretty much make everybody go their way that they want. But us GTA Online players are against that, don't want to follow their way, and are going to be fighting them to get what we want. So I think that Rockstar, when it comes to these missions, they're going to be starting in the Avenger. We obviously know that the Avenger is going to be playing a big part in this DLC, and I'm hoping that that's kind of how Rockstar does it. I'm assuming it's going to be kind of similar to the client jobs that we have in a Terabyte. I would much rather Rockstar have a business where we can start it from, kind of similar to like the Contract DLC or something like that. But I don't think that's going to be the case here, since Rockstar hasn't talked about any new businesses really arising. But of course, we have to see when the update releases or if Rockstar shares more information. But I do hope that we can start the missions from the, Avenger itself, because the thing is, when Rockstar has contact missions, that is kind of annoying, because it just doesn't really feel that good. It seems like a really simple, just, throwing in mission, that kind of relates a lot to like the Criminal Enterprise DLC, which is like the UOP missions. That was just, throwing contact missions are just really not interesting whatsoever. But another big thing was like, with the drug wars, Rockstar did do slightly better, obviously, since we had actual business that we could have. But again, it was still just really like lackluster. Just really wasn't the best that Rockstar could do when it came to the DLC. So hopefully, I'm assuming that they'll do better this time. I would have no problem starting the missions from the Adventure, kind of similar to even the Kosaka as well. So that's something I do want to see in this DLC. Just no, contact missions and stuff like that. It's just honestly really annoying. They can add contact missions, but just not, ones that are for the main story with the Merryweather battle that we're going to be having. And then one of the biggest things for sure is going to be the cutscenes. Rockstar did terrible in the Criminal Enterprise DLC last summer with cutscenes. They really had only one of them, and you didn't even really get to see much. It was literally just their GTA Online characters. So cutscenes, I mean, to some people may not seem important, but it really does add to the story. It makes it more interesting, and it really shows a lot in heists, especially with with the Kyrie and stuff like that. Like when you have cutscenes, it just makes it more interesting, and it just makes it more better. And honestly, I think a lot of people do enjoy it more. So if Rockstar could add, a DLC that has cutscenes that are for like every single mission and just adds to it, it's gonna be really nice. And if you're gonna add cutscenes, don't just add it to the beginning, also add it throughout the missions and stuff, and just make it a lot more interesting and better, kind of similar to how they did with Drug Wars, but just a bit more on that. Next up, we do have drip feed. So this is obviously a big topic to talk about. With the past like about 3 DLCs, Rockstar has mainly focused on just really drip feeding a lot of the content that they have, and that's a big problem. Obviously, because on day one we do want to see a lot of content, and honestly, usually in the past we don't have any problem with Rockstar drip feeding vehicles, but now when they're drip feeding a lot of big things, like for example like the 50 car garage or the auto shops, or not really the auto shops, but the auto showrooms, that's when it kind of gets annoying, because you just want this stuff on day one, and it should have been on day one, but Rockstar is just like holding it off until later, for they can get more people to just get on and play GTA Online, which is good for them as a money standpoint. They obviously know that it's successful to do drift fed like this, but from players and fans perspective, it is honestly really bad. So I hope they don't really do it like that. We do know, according to test runs too, that the amount of content that's going to be released on day one is actually going to be pretty similar to the Criminal Enterprise DLC, which was the ones that had like all the missions released, the vehicles released, but they did hold on a lot of stuff. So I see Rockstar probably doing the same thing here, sadly, with the drift fed. And also a big thing to realize is that this DLC came out a little bit earlier this year. Usually they come out late July, but now they're coming out in early June. So Rockstar has more leeway and space when it comes to drift fed. So I hope they don't do this. I'm assuming that mod vehicles is going to be around the same, like 15 to 20. We'll talk about that more in another video. But overall, I think that Rockstar probably is going to continue with drift fed, which is something I don't want to see, but it seems like that's the way that they're going to be sticking from now on. But we'll see. Hopefully they can improve on it, just make players like it a bit more better. Next up, we got Paywall. Obviously, we know that this is something that Rockstar usually talks about in DLCs. Really overall for this DLC, I think if you want to get started with the missions and stuff stuff like that, you're going to need an Avenger, but it's a good thing that you don't need the facility anymore, or a hangar. Honestly, I think as long as you have the Avenger, you should be cool. Rockstar will share more information on that, but I think that's what we're going to know for now. And eventually, you know, I think that a lot of people are just going to be able to buy the Avenger to get started. So I think that's one of the main vehicles that you're going to be needing. And of course, if you don't even have that, you could still, you know, probably join your friends and stuff like that if you want to experience the missions, and then eventually save up and buy, you know, what you want for this DLC. And then a big thing, of course, is that I don't want Rockstar to make it like Smugglers Run 2.0. Obviously, the Smugglers Run DLC was pretty good. I did like it, but just, you know, making a 2.0 version just isn't really the best. I feel like, I mean, I feel like Rockstar could just, you know, just expand more and just have more ideas when it comes to GTA Online, and just not really just base it off of another DLC. There's no problems to take ideas from it, but just don't make it only focused on that. And then a big thing for sure, one of the last things, is that Rockstar definitely should not make the new jet overpowered. So this is obviously a big thing, because we know that griefing is a big problem in GTA Online. And the thing is, when it comes to griefing, Rockstar has, you know, improved it, you know, for sure, with the quality of life changes, and probably even more that are coming in this update itself. But when it comes to jets, that's always a big thing, and Rockstar, I'm glad have fixed a lot in the past. But for this new one, hopefully they don't continue and repeat the past, and just obviously just make it a bit better, and just don't have any issues when it comes to, you know, griefing and stuff like that with the new jet, because we know it's going to be extremely powerful with VTOL, missiles, cannons, and much more. So that's overall the things I do want to see in this DLC. You know, nothing too crazy, obviously, just, you know, the simple things. I don't think this DLC is going to be really, you know, crazy and big, but I do expect it to be a, you know, medium-sized DLC, so I do expect to see some things. But let me know what you guys want to see in the DLC as well in the comments down below, and if you did enjoy, subscribe, put a post notification so that I don't miss any content regarding Andreas Mercenaries DLC, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.